Years ago, there was a king that ruled France. His name was Luxury Louis Philippe. And he was also known as a citizen king. And he was very, very well popular for his artistic undertakings as well. He was the one who brought about some massive paradigm shifts when it came to artistic sensibilities in France as well. Years later, joins me today, Samrat Som, who is the creative and marketing director of Louis Philippe. Samrat, welcome to Tea Time today with me. It's good to have you here today on the show.
Thank you. Pleasure
now,
being here.
How did Louis Philippe as a brand come about in terms of art finding its way into clothing?
Somebody very, very clever in 1965 decided to start a brand called Louis Philippe.
Right.
Inspired by the king, by his artistic
endeavors,
etc. And as you know, at that point of time, if you look back, everything French stood for sophistication, artistic, fine.
Yeah, the French are known for finer things in life.
Absolutely. So that's how the brand started. It was one of the first ready-made garment brands, so to say. Till then, you had designers, and this was one of the first few garment brands that came about. In 1989, it came to India, and that's when we started working on the brand.
Now, suits make it the man. How far is that true? Do you agree to that?
It's very true. I always believe the man should wear the clothes and not the other way around. So you should be comfortable in what you wear.
Right.
But if you're not comfortable in suit, it's much better not to wear suit than wear a suit and be uncomfortable.
Interesting.
But you should find a way to find a good suit that you're comfortable with. Today, the market is much more evolved than it used to be.
Right.
Even in ready-made segment, you find a lot of suits which will fit your body type, of different fabrics that allows you to breathe or be less formal.
You spoke about fabrics. How important is the weight of the fabric in a suit?
Oh, it's very, very important, especially not only weight, but also the composition, the way the suit is constructed. All this is very important, especially when it comes to a country like ours.
So what is the research and technology that goes on at Madura Garments at Louis Philippe when you take into consideration the fabric with which you're making the suit for the men?
You can't imagine the level to which we go. We go to the level of yarn, or even the crop of cotton, or where the wool is grown. You know, we look at that. We look at engineering the yarn level itself. So how thin the yarn should be. You know, what should be its circumference, etc. We get into that kind of detail. You know, can it be hollow or can it be solid? If it's hollow, then it allows for slightly fuller garment with lightness of weight. So we get into very technical details of fiber, yarn, fabric at every stage. And last but not the least, in making the suit, the construction of the garment. I think, like a car, 90% of what goes into a suit is not seen. What you see is only the outer thing, but what goes as interlinings, the choice of those, the choice of weight of those is equally important as the fabric itself.
Right, so we're talking about dressing well. Now, dressing well is not just about suits and shirts and trousers, it's also about footwear. Now, the footwear business that you came into grew out of a very personal passion for you. It reported sales of 65,000 footwear and pair of footwear. And, of course, the turnover was $4 million US as well. How did that come about? How did you bring such a shift into the footwear business?
It was very personal. I couldn't find shoes for myself in India. You know, about
it happens to me all the time. I never find shoes.
It's really strange. When I was traveling, I would always pick up something from, you know, Spain,
Singapore,
Milan, even in Europe, America, pretty much everywhere. You could spend about $100, $120, and you could get a very good pair of shoes. But in India, you either had poor quality Chinese made, the designs were not nice, those kind of shoes, or you had very high-end luxury brands that came in. I thought there is a market. When you look at the market, there are no national brands in footwear, except for a couple. You don't really have. So I think the market was ready. There's enough space in the market. And we launched with a very, very sharp positioning, Italian styling, you know, Italian and French styling. The shapes were different. And, you know, we didn't do anything special. We had our own stores. We went out to department stores. We just made the product available, a very good quality product, made in the nicest possible way, crafted, handcrafted mostly. and styled very differently from what was available in the market. So we made a lot of adjustments to the concepts that we started with, and lo and behold, people are finding them appropriate. They're picking them up. So we would be closing at somewhere around about $6 million.
$6 million?
Yeah, $6 million this year, and 65 should go up to about 75,000 pairs.
Let's discuss about the market a little bit. Now, companies today are trying to consolidate as much as possible in your sector, but Louis Philippe, on the flip side, is expanding. How are you planning to sustain in a scenario where everyone else consolidates and you expand? What is the strategy?
That comes from the strength of the brand. Over the last 3-4 years, we have seen obviously the market changing the way it has.
Right.
But in some ways it has proved the strength of the brand and the equity that we have with our consumers.
Right.
And it allows us to grow in the markets that we are already in.
Right.
And we are also looking at markets that are emerging within India, like we were talking about Tier 2 cities.
Right.
Where we are seeing pockets of wealth, pockets of growth.
Right.
And it's just that we have been very, very astute about which market to go in, at what price, at what time, what size. These are very important. So when you grow with abundance, without caution, you may end up scaling back and consolidating.
Right.
But we have been very, very clear. So today, out of 150 odd stores that we have, exclusive stores, I think except for 1 or 2, we are making money in all the stores.
All the stores.
And the new stores are the ones where, are one of those 2 stores maybe where we will see money coming in a little bit later. But so that gives us the strength to expand.
So now the world market for footwear is expected to grow by about $402 million by 2014, according to a research report. Where does India stand to a figure like this?
Very difficult to comment on that, because a large part of the Indian market is unorganized.
Right.
Even today. And so only of the organized market that we can look at it's about 25,000 crores. It's a large market. We are not really concerned about the size of the market, because where we are playing, where footwear is concerned, it's a smaller niche market, because if you consider our prices, they're above 4,000, 5,000, so it's about $100, $120.
Now it's interesting that there's always economic activity finding a very good correlationship with the way sales of suits are happening. So when you saw an economic recession a couple of years ago, you saw the sales of suits also declining. Where do we stand today in terms of the overall macroeconomic scenario? How is that impacting your sale as well?
It's very, very interesting. In fact, through the whole downturn, I wouldn't call it recession, but through the whole downturn from 2008 November till today, where we are talking about slowdown, etc., we have just gone from strength to strength.
Right.
We have just grown in every category, including suits. So the only answer I have for that is really the strength of the brand and what it is being bought for.
Right.
So it's not being bought for fashion. That's where we see the brand, that we are bought a lot of times for special occasions, whether it's ceremonial, whether it's weddings, whether it's a big occasion that you need to dress up for. So we see a lot of our consumers coming back and buying us for them. And also we have a very strong emotional connect with the brand. So people connect the brand with occasions that are important in their lives.
Interesting. So now, a lot of these domestic brands like yours at Madura Garments or Raymond or even Arvind, for the Zodiac for that matter, they are facing a lot of competition from these international entrants in the market. You've got Timberland, you've got US Polo, you've got Canali, you've got so much that is coming into this country today, that there is just so much to choose from for a consumer. And now these international labels, having said that, come with a premium attached. They are supposed to be aspirational, they're luxury. Does that impact our Indian brands at all when it comes to menswear?
Very interesting question, Jayati, because at the heart of the question lies what is international today.
Exactly.
And we have had so many brands like Benetton and Levi's with us, in this country for so many years, that I don't know, and US Polo, which has come in very recently, but we don't really know whether they're international or domestic. Depends on how you define them.
Right.
Right. So a lot of these brands are actually being made in India. Right. For whatever reasons, whether it's the kind of association you have or not. Right. So at the end, I think the consumer is interested in the value he is getting from the brand. So I would say when you say a Canali or the specialist coming in from Italy, and if the consumer sees value in there, then a certain segment of consumer is definitely moving there.
No, but then does that make your brand a bridge to luxury brand and takes the niche element out of it?
My strategy remains, how can I get best value for my consumers? So product to product, I deliver more value. And a lot of times it depends on where the consumer is placing more value.
Right.
A lot of consumers place value on product. A lot of consumers place value on the brand.
On the brand. Yeah.
Now, we think right now in India, the growing segment is really where the consumer is placing value on the product.
Correct. Correct.
Very few consumers are aware of brands and their heritages and
Right.
where they come from and the authenticity, etc.,
Right.
which will happen over a period of time. And that's where we occupy a very special position.
Got it.
Where for a lot of consumers, we are seen as international brand as we were when we came in.
Right.
And we are as international as many of the brands that we talk about, whether it's US Polo or
Right.
Levi's or whoever it is.
It's not really impacting your positioning
It's
at all.
not. It's not at all. I mean, it
From what
is.
I understand, yes.
Yes, we never aimed to be a niche player. It's just that we were a small player when the market was small. Today, that market is
Has become
expanding.
bigger, yeah.
So, in some ways, we never wanted to compete with the luxury brands that are coming in. We're not luxury.
Right.
But we are in that bridge to luxury position. We offer tremendous value for the price at which we operate. We source fabrics from all over the world. We source fabrics as rare as Sea Island, where the fabric is booked 2-3 years ahead,
In advance.
and it's available only in handful of retailers across the world, not only in India.
Great.
So, it's just a matter of consumer knowing and valuing you for what you are.
A new beginning at Louis Philippe is, of course, the accessory line as well. You've got bags coming in. What else is new at Louis Philippe, and what is it that you are planning to launch this year?
Accessories, I think, has a huge market, and
For men.
this is also for men, and this is also a
You don't
place
see
where
you don't see too much of men donning accessories in India.
Exactly, like we were saying, dressing up, and dressing up is finally completed with, if you see, the journey of the brand has been that way, that we have been educating the market and creating things that people are getting ready for.
Is there space for accessories to enter this market right now for men?
There's huge space.
So like the way you enter the footwear market at the right opportune time, do you think this is the opportune time for accessories for you?
Absolutely. So besides, out of all accessories, I think the bags are one of the key things that is most visible around you when you're traveling.
Right.
And that's where I see a lot of men not being aware of what is right to carry, how do you match it, how do you carry it. A lot of times you see people carrying overburdened bags, etc. So I think that's where the next growth is going to come for the brand.
How big is this vertical likely to be at your company?
Right now we have just started, so we have not put numbers here, but we see a 100 crore opportunity within 2-3 years.
Going forward.
Going forward,
of course.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
overall for the brand, what is the kind of outlook that you have for the year going forward?
Oh, it's going to be a very exciting year for us. We have launched bags, so there's going to be a lot of activity around those. We have a younger sub-brand which is LP, which is going to go exclusive by itself, which means we're going to start having its own stores. We are bringing out jeans in the market as part of that, which is very exciting. I'm very excited about the line. So at one level we are going premium, not bespoke, but made to measure for the discerning consumer. At the same time, we're looking at the younger demographic and what they should be wearing in different occasions of their life.
All right, so on that note, it's time now for us to say goodbye to you. Thank you so much for joining me today on Tea Time.
It's been a pleasure.
Hope you have a good journey when it comes to your golfing career as well, and of course your corporate career too. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Chaiti.
That was Samrat Som, the Marketing and Creative Director at Louis Philippe. I will continue bringing more guests on the show, and we'll see you next week again. Take care. Goodbye.